Are you the kind of person that talks down to yourself in your head? Why do I do that? I'm so stupid. When you're processing your day and flip through memories of your social interactions with others, are you the kind of person to quietly say, why did I do that? I'm so pathetic. I'm such an embarrassment. This is why you don't have any friends. You're such a loser. When distant memories of any social, emotional, or physical trauma or uncomfortable situations arise, are you saying the same thing in your head? Oh, I deserve that. You're such a loser. You're pathetic. Any of that sounding familiar? If it is, then this video is for you. So this kind of behavior I call self-abuse, because it is abuse. It's verbal abuse directed at yourself. And it is adding hurt to your already hurt soul. So how do you get away from this? You peel back the self-abuse layer and find out what's underneath it. Because I guarantee it's just covering for another emotion. No one wakes up one day hating themselves, and for no reason. There'll be an underlying reason. So we need to peel it back and find out what it is. So you begin to peel the layer back by challenging all those thoughts. Every time a negative thought like that comes to mind, challenge it as soon as you notice it. Oh, I'm such a loser. Why? Why do you think that? Ask yourself, because you won't know why until you ask yourself and get your mind to tell you and open up and go, why do I do that? Oh, I'm so pathetic. No, you're not. Why are you saying that? Approach it as though it's your friend saying that out loud to you. What would you say to them? No, you're not. Why do you think that? As many times as you find yourself talking badly about yourself, challenge it. It may take some time to find out what the underlying cause is, because by this layer, you have become quite numb to your own emotions. The self-abuse has blocked off the part that recognizes how you really feel. Once you are in a habit of regularly questioning all self-abuse, you will notice that you are self-abusing less and less, because you're removing the self-abuse layer. But what happens is, the emotion it was covering for will start to be on full display. For some, that will be anger. And so now when things happen or when you review the past, instead of belittling yourself, you'll then start to feel angry. You are angry at the person who wronged you. You are angry at the people who laughed at you or who didn't support you. You are angry at the people who didn't believe you or who didn't protect you. Don't try and push away the anger. You don't want to cover it up again. You want to remove this layer. Here comes the hard part. You need to allow yourself to feel and express this anger in a healthy way, because it is a perfectly natural reaction to that situation, but you need to try and do that without letting the anger influence your day-to-day interactions with the innocent people around you. So my recommendation would be to create a room in your head and imagine yourself going into that room with that memory or with the situation that has just come up, and allow yourself to feel the anger. You view the memory, you view the situation, and then you can shout, you can swear, acknowledge and express. You are angry, and it's okay to feel angry. Then you put that memory into a box, you leave it on the table, and you walk out the room. You close the door. You take a breath and you carry on with your day. Do that as many times as you feel the anger brewing. Acknowledging and expressing the anger in a healthy way is the only way to remove that layer. After a while, you will notice that you're becoming less angry, and then you will see the emotion that the anger was covering up. You see, particularly with people who have endured traumas or repeated abuse and bullying, etc., you may well find that there are many layers. I will go through 7 layers in this video. If this starts to resonate with you at all, save this video and re-watch it as you get to each layer that I talk about. So, once you've got rid of the anger, you may now notice that you're feeling guilty and ashamed when these memories come up. But this layer, and each layer that you get to, comes only because you haven't fully processed the previous layer of emotions. So after a while, you just smother it with a whole new layer of emotions because you can't deal with it. So now you start to recognize you feel guilty, or that you deserved it, or that it was your fault, or that it was your mistakes that caused it, it was your flaws that resulted in it. You feel like you're the one in the wrong. Each time you feel this emotion, stop, look at the situation or the memory before you, and first ask yourself, was I really in the wrong? If you are not to blame, then remind yourself again and again, I was not at fault. I am not guilty. Or it was an accident. Or whatever applies in that situation. You need to remind yourself that you were not at fault. That you are free from guilt. Because even though you might be an adult now and you can recognize that in somebody else, like, no, you're not at fault. You're not guilty for that happening. We don't always understand that in our own brains. We need ourselves to tell ourselves, you're not at fault. You're not guilty. This is not your doing. So anytime that emotion comes, remind yourself again and again, this isn't my fault. If you are to blame or you were found at fault, whether you hurt someone intentionally or accidentally, the fact that the guilt is still haunting you shows you that you are sorry and remorseful. So anytime that feeling comes up, you need to say to yourself, that wasn't my finest hour. You take a deep breath and you carry on. You look at the lessons that you've learned from it. Okay, well, I know that I never want to end up with this result again, so I'm going to do this differently, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to avoid this. You take those lessons forward and not the guilt. Let the guilt drive you to do better and to be better. Don't let it be an anchor that just weighs you down and stops you from progressing for the rest of your life. You can't change the past. You can only influence your future. Remember that no matter what you have done wrong, no matter how much you have hurt somebody else, receiving their forgiveness is not actually part of your healing journey. That is part of their healing journey. So don't think you can't move forward until you've received their forgiveness, because that's their journey. Your journey is about learning from the mistake, forgiving yourself and moving forward. So when this emotion comes up, the guilt and the shame, you're going to repeatedly tell yourself one of two things. I'm not guilty. This was not my fault. Or, that wasn't my finest hour. I'm going to do better. As you tell yourself that again and again and again, as each of these memories come to the forefront of your mind, you will start to realize and notice that the guilt and the shame are decreasing. And then the next layer of emotion reveals itself. But a side note, a certain amount of guilt may always be with you if you were in the wrong. But don't let it stand as a demon forever haunting you. Let it be a positive thing, an angel even, influencing your future decisions. So under that layer, you may now be experiencing embarrassment or anxiety. It can be humiliating when something bad happens, especially if others were present or they found out or they laughed. It can now cause panic attacks and social anxiety and fear of being in certain situations where it reminds you of that thing. During this layer, you need to be your own comforter. Quite literally, as you would a child when they are scared and upset and feeling anxious, when you feel that emotion, you're going to go, it's okay. You're okay now. And even tap yourself. It is powerful. Tap anyway, your leg, your arm, your chest. You feel your heart racing. You feel the memories flashing around. You feel your body sweating. And you're going to take a deep breath. It's okay. You're okay now. You're safe now. And you're just going to do that over and over again, as many times as you feel that anxiety coming up. Only a few more layers to get to now. And under this layer, you may start to feel a deep sadness, a depression even, because it is sad what happened. It is a sad situation. And it is sad to think of it again. And it can be sad to talk about it. Feel the sadness. Acknowledge it. and say to yourself, that was a sad moment. That really was a sad time. Labeling the emotion every time you experience it, every time you feel it, is a powerful tool that helps you to process what you are feeling. And that's what we're aiming for, processing, because once something is processed, it's filed away and it can be left there without it having continued negative effects on you. So in this layer, it'll be a bit like looking at the memory on a table through one-way glass. You can see it, but it can no longer see you. It can't physically hurt you anymore. You're going to look at it. That was really sad. And then you're going to walk on by. As many times as the sadness comes up, you look, that was sad, and you walk on by. Once the sadness is validated, you reveal the very raw, open wound that lies at the center of it all. This can be very hard to deal with in this layer. So when you know you're close to this layer, or if you get to it sooner than you realize, put in some coping mechanisms as soon as you can. Have those favorite hobbies to do, have a new skill to learn, plan little retreats with your friends, go for walks, exercise, eat well, all that sort of thing. Those are the things that are going to help you cope through this layer. This layer can be incredibly scary, and I had fear down as a separate layer, but I do think it coincides with this layer. Now is your chance to finally address and heal this festering wound. I would recommend writing down exactly what happened in as much detail as you can. If you don't like writing and you have someone to talk to them about exactly what happened in as much detail as you can. If you don't have anyone that you feel confident and comfortable talking to about this, then say it out loud. You can record yourself on a video or just say it out loud to the cows, Talk about it. Say exactly what happened in as much detail as you can. Doing that is like cleaning the wound. Yes, that really hurts. But once it's fully cleaned, then you can start to heal. It's important to speak about every detail because that releases it from the place that it's been trapped in for so long. Going through this layer is very different to going through the other layers because you're now at the root cause. And the best bit, you will feel so free once you get past this layer. Because do you know what's underneath this layer? Love. You will finally be able to express and receive love at a deeper level than ever before because there are no longer any barriers around your heart. Once you know what the layers are, and for some of you the layers may be slightly different, which is why it's important to listen to and recognize the emotions that you feel. But once you know what the layers are, you may be tempted to just get a bulldozer and break through all of these layers and save time and then work directly on the pain layer. I don't recommend doing that because all these layers are woven deep into your mental health, your mental state. And it would be like ripping out all of your hair to try and get rid of all your dead ends instead of trimming it back gently over time. Patient perseverance will help you to replace weakness with strength at every layer as and when you get to it. And then that way, once you get to the pain layer, you've built up so much strength before you get there. So just to end, I'll remind you that every destructive emotion, like anger, jealousy, I don't know what binge eating would come under, but emotional eating, self-abuse, self-harm, anything like that, it's always covering for another emotion, a vulnerable emotion. When you have destructive emotions, they come to protect you from the vulnerable emotions. What are the vulnerable emotions? Fear, sadness, embarrassment. When you address the vulnerable emotions, you can then get rid of or prevent the destructive emotions from coming. Once you get rid of the vulnerable emotions, you're back to the peace and the love and the happiness. And that's what we want to get to. So when you see those destructive emotions in your loved ones and in your children, remember they're covering for a vulnerable emotion. Find out what the vulnerable emotion is and help them to address that. And when you see those destructive emotions in yourself down the road, remind yourself you're covering for a vulnerable emotion. How do you really feel? And getting down to the layer of love and peace and joy, that is doable. You can do it. It does take time and it can hurt if you've buried it under so many layers for so many years. Just gradually go through all these layers as long as it takes. Just keep working at it. And one day you'll be free from all those layers, and all that's left is love and peace and joy. And then when life throws more rubbish your way, more pain, more guilt, more traumas, you'll be able to deal with it in a healthier way, because for one, you already understand how to overcome it in a healthy way, but also you don't already have a mountain of baggage that it's adding to.